Hi, I'm Mimi White. I'm a Rye poet, and Andy, our librarian, has asked me if I would read some poems to you during this time of our staying close to home or in our home. And I brought some of my favorites with me, and some of them are on a website that you might want to know about, poets.org. It's the Academy of American Poets website. And they have a wonderful program called Sheltering in Poems. And you can get them every day. Poets select them, and the reading of the poems is very satisfying. I've been sharing poems with my neighbors, and I think they find that satisfying. And I've also been getting a lot in the mail, email, and other ways from friends. So here we go. I couldn't really share poems with you without sharing something by Wendell Berry, who is a wonderful poet and a wonderful environmentalist. And this one I'm reading in honor of our Earth Day, which was yesterday, 50 years ago. We inaugurated that day. And it's called The Peace of Wild Things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night with least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. And I love where he takes us through that poem, through the natural world, into a place of grace where he can feel free. And I think those of us who live in this town are so lucky to have the natural beauty around us. And I've certainly noticed outside my study window many, many new faces walking down to the harbor, as I do at least 2 or 3 times a day with my dog. So that's The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. Now I've brought an old one, very old, a Yeats poem. And some of you may know it. It's The Lake Isles of Innisfree. And it's a beautiful lyric poem, which means that it's a poem that expresses feeling. A lyric poem is attuned to song, as opposed to narrative poetry that might tell you a story. And I think Judy Collins has set this to music, and it's one you're probably very familiar with. I think the first line has the most beautiful pacing of a line I've heard in a long time. The Lake Isle of Innisfree by W.B. Yeats. I will arise and go now, and go to Innisfree, and a small cabin build there of clay and wattles made. 9 bean rows will I have there, a hive for the honey bee, and live alone in the bee-loud glade. And I shall have some peace there, for peace comes dropping slow, dropping from the vales of the morning to where the cricket sings. There midnight's all a glimmer, and noon a purple glow, and evening full of linnets' wings. I will arise and go now, for always night and day I hear lake water lapping with low sounds by the shore. Will I stand on the roadway or on the pavement gray? I hear it in the deep heart's core. I notice that I have peace in both of these poems, which is what I'm thinking about and passing to you, hoping that you'll feel some peace when you shelter in poems. And also how he can bring that lake back to him while he's standing on the roadway or on the pavement's gray. I hear it in the deep heart's core. So we can store these things up and bring them back to us even when we're not there. Now that's Yeats. Because we live in a seacoast town, I'd like to read you one called Blessing the Boats by Lucille Clifton, who was a wonderful American poet of this century. And she died in, I believe, 2000. It's a very small poem, but it's beautiful. Blessing the Boats. May the tide that is entering even now the lip of our understanding carry you out beyond the face of fear. May you kiss the wind, then turn from it, certain that it will love you back. May you open your eyes to water, water waving forever. And may you, in your innocence, sail through this to that. And I do think we're on somewhat of a journey from this to that, and believe that when we get to that, we will take stock, we will be happy to be there, and we will make a good world. Okay. I think I'll read two more than I thought, but if you've got the capacity. One came through the email, and I think that some of you may have seen it. It's a poem that was written in 1869 and reprinted during the 1919 pandemic. I don't know who wrote it, and I don't know what was happening in 1869 to prompt this poem. But when you hear it, you will see there's quite a bit of similarity between our times. It's called, and I wish I knew who wrote it, so if maybe somebody can look it up and find it. It's called This Is, well, I don't know, the title might be This Is Timeless. The people stayed at home and read books and listened, and they rested, and they did exercises and made art and played and learned new ways of being and stopped and listened more deeply. Someone meditated, someone prayed, someone met their shadow, and people began to think differently, and people healed. And in the absence of people who lived in ignorant ways, dangerous, meaningless, and heartless, the earth also began to heal. And when the danger ended and people found themselves, they grieved for the dead and made new choices and dreamed of new visions and created new ways of living and completely healed the earth just as they were healed. Very positive, optimistic, yet timeless in what people did to live through a time where they were isolated as well. And the last poem I would like to read is by William Stafford. And he's one of my favorite poets. He's no longer with us. He has a very, very simple, straightforward style. And I want to read it at the end because it has a wonderful title and it gives us something to hold on to. The title is Why I Am Happy by William Stafford. Now has come an easy time. I let it roll. There is a lake somewhere, so blue and far, nobody owns it. A wind comes by, and a willow listens gracefully. I hear all this every summer. I laugh and cry for every turn of the world, its terribly cold, innocent spin. That lake stays blue and free. It goes on, and I know where it is. I think it's a little bit like the last part of Yeats's poem, where he says he's standing in the pavement and he can still conjure up this Isle of Innisfree. And this blue lake is with William Stafford, no matter where he is. So maybe there's something in one of these poems. I think you can hear my dog bark. That Scout. If there's something in one of these poems that gives you respite and peace, that's what I wish for you. Be well and stay safe. We're lucky to live in this town and very grateful for our librarians, for everything that they do for us. Take good care.